Welcome to the podcast, Just Don't Break, a podcast aimed to strengthen and encourage you during seasons of challenges.
We are your hosts, the Surreals, here to bring you real life perspectives on why you just don't break. So tune in.
Welcome to the podcast, Just Don't Break, a podcast aimed to strengthen and encourage you during seasons of challenges. We are your hosts, the Surreals. Today we'll be talking about the grass is greener where you water it.
Welcome. It's 2024. We're kicking it off. This is our first podcast of the year. I'm glad to see that you made it. 2023 maybe gave us a few black eyes, but you are in one whole piece. So, here we are. We're going to get into this topic today, and it's the grass is greener where you water it. It's easy for you to begin to, think like, man, my life could be so much better if if I was born into this family, if I was married to this person, if I was, I don't know, if you're 5 foot, maybe if I was 6 foot, my life would be, this much more amazing.
If I had X amount of money.
Yeah, if I hit that lotto.
Specific type of job.
Yeah. And people are making so many changes and doing so many things. But it's important to have somewhat contentment, like being satisfied where you are and beginning to work from there. Like as long as you can take inventory of what you got going on, as long as you have 10 fingers, 10 toes, you're in your right mind, just being thankful for the small things and building upon those. So that's really where we're beginning at. The grass is greener. One of the things, our first topic we wanted to hit on is don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of all joy. It's so easy to begin to look at somebody else, be like, man, they're starting a podcast that God told me to start. It's so easy to look at, somebody else, who may be in the same career field as you, like, oh man, they're doing so much greater than where I am. And can get, your spirit frustrated, and you'd be like, man, you just become depressed and wanting to be better than where you are. But it all starts with, looking at yourself in the mirror, not comparing yourself, but, just asking God for that grace to get to the next level, to do the things, to do the small things, to begin to change and check your own mindset. That's very important.
All right. And it's also important to just be content in your season that you're in. Because you might be in a season where, you're not in school, you working. So it's just important to, like my husband said, evaluate where you're at, take inventory, and just focus on where you're at in your life and just be content, because your time will come in God's timing. So it's important not to compare ourselves to other people or rush the process.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. We're all on this racetrack called life. And it's easy to look at somebody and be like, man, they're running so much faster than me. I done been on the track before and seen, that guy that's, just running that 4-minute mile, just going so fast. But he's only going to do that for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. It's important to know what pace you need to be at, right, and be comfortable in your own skin, comfortable in your own pace, and, go as God is giving you grace to do, and just put that one foot in front of the other. And even if you walking, the journey of 1,000 miles just starts with one step. So just take that step. If you're taking a step every day, if you actively working on trying to get better each day, you just becoming 1% better each day, before you know it, a year from now, you'll be so much further ahead than where you were. So.
All right. And you definitely don't want to be in a situation that you definitely was not ready for.
Yeah.
That is like the worst position to be in, because you're looking at somebody else and comparing yourself to that person, and you think you're ready for what they're doing, but really you're not, which is why God has you in the position you're in, anyway. So it's just important for us to just pay attention to ourselves.
Yeah. And God's pace is much better than your pace,
Mm-hmm.
There's certain seasons you're going through, and it's designed to build character. It's designed to, help you just develop mentally. Because like you said, if God gave you that $1 million, could you even handle it right now?
Right.
It's the same way, like when you look at, your kids, maybe they just turned 16. Do you want their first car to be a Ferrari? Do you want them to have a car that you know the capabilities of that car can be so fast that it can actually be more harmful than good to give it to them before they had maybe a hoopty or something that's just more compact? You can't just start off just giving them the top tier of things because you know there's going to be some trials and errors.
Right. All right. So we're going to move on to the next topic. This one was your idea. Put your blinders on.
So putting your blinders on and focusing on your lane is very similar to don't compare yourself to others.
Right.
So like staying in your lane and putting your blinders on it's just being tunnel vision. It's so important to just lock into what God is telling you. It's so important to be able to hear what God is telling you. Maybe you feel like you've been in a season where you just couldn't even hear. So sometimes you got to go back to the last thing God told you to do and just start from there.
Yeah.
So putting your blinders on, that's just like, I'm not worried about what's going on to the left, I'm not worried about what's going on to the right. And it's not just people, but I'm not even being concerned about the things going on. Like putting the blinders on, I'm not letting the bills beat me up. I'm not letting I don't know, whatever your challenges may be in this season, I'm not letting those things get to my mindset.
And it might help to write stuff down and to make a plan. So that helps us to be focused, especially me. Like, you know, right now we did our vision board for the year.
Yep.
And I'm like focused on stuff that I really, really want to accomplish. And to do that, I have to write it down so I can see it and have stuff to check off. And that might help you to stay focused and stay tunnel vision on, you know, your goals and your plans.
Yeah. I know to somebody, there's probably somebody that could be listening, somebody that's watching that's thinking like, me hit my goals can't be as simple as writing them down. Like that's just it just sounds silly, right?
Because we didn't do a vision board, and I'm telling you,
2023 gave us some black eyes.
We did not do a vision board. That was the first year we did not do a vision board, and I don't even know why we didn't do it, but for some reason it just did not get done, and I didn't think much of it until the year is going in, and we're midway through, and I'm like, stuff is just happening.
Yeah.
But because we didn't do that vision board for 2023, I felt like we had a lot of unexpected stuff happen last year that we were not prepared for. And to me, it felt like not doing that was a big part of it. Yeah. Like, as we was doing the vision board for this year, we was like, I said, I think it's because we didn't do a vision board. That's why that stuff happened. Like, no lie, we got beat up at the end of last year. Like, we had stuff come from nowhere. I didn't even know how I was going to make it. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that was happening.
It's so important. It's so important to write the vision down. It's so important to make it plain. That means don't make your goals overly complicated. Right. Make them simple.
Yeah.
Let them make them attainable, but also make them so that they push you to, you know, keep checking off those boxes. Like, let your brain see what you're trying to get to and strive, and by faith you can get there.
Right, yes.
So it's so important to write them down. It's so important to put those blinders on. Like, I'm going to focus on these goals. Yeah. These goals I'm going to hit no matter what.
Yeah, if it's just one or two goals, just, you know, you don't have to put it on a board. You can have it like on a sticky note, something that you look at every day. Like I have like memos on my phone, but our board is in our room. So it's like when we wake up, that it's like literally the first thing we see is on the wall. It's our board. Yeah. And it's just good to see as the year go on. It's like, I did accomplish that. You know, it's good to check stuff off.
And have micro goals. Like, I remember this video of a Navy commander, and he's giving this speech, and he was talking about the importance of making your bed. Just being able to check off that one first task that you did today. I made my bed. And it's so simple, but it can lead to, you know, checking other things off throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. Before you know it, a decade has gone by and you've grown so much because it starts with one simple, attainable goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, you want to move on to the next one? Is
better to be miles deep than miles wide. So having that hyper focus. Mm-hmm. So it's so much better to be in an environment where you're going deeper instead of going wider. So like, you don't want to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. it's still important for you to like have your thing and be locked into it. Like
Yeah.
focus on what you need to do.
Yeah, and it's okay if you just have like one goal. Like if your goal is to, I don't know, I always bring everything back to nursing. It's to go to nursing school. Then do that. You know, you don't have to. I want to go to nursing school, but I also want to start a business, and I also want to do. You don't have to do everything at one
Yeah.
time. You can just be really focused and go hard on that one thing and have that one thing you accomplish. So it could be anything, and it's okay if it's one thing and everyone's doing 10 things. Just focus on your one thing.
Yeah. And it's that this concept is so important because it definitely applies to relationships. Like you, whether you're in a season of singleness, whether you're married, it's better to be focused on one person and you just trying to add happiness to that one person than trying to juggle 5, 6, 7 different girlfriends. And now you went from being a young man to having gray hairs because all that stuff is stressing you out. It's better to have one great relationship than to be trying to be out here in these streets because it's a rough time in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very important. And the last one.
Yeah.
So the last one that topic we're going to talk about is be the change you want to see.
It starts with you. Starts
Yes.
with looking in the mirror and saying like, I want to be better in this area. I'm going to model this behavior for my wife, for my kids, for my coworkers. I'm going to be this agent of change. So that's what we have the power to do. Being born again believers, being people that believe that that we should keep our words, being truth keepers. So it's important to be that change agent and whatever that thing is, whatever's on your heart to do, be that change. Like, don't look at somebody else and point the finger at, well, you shouldn't be doing this, and you could have did this better, and you could have did that better. It's so easy to point the finger, but when you point the finger, really 3 fingers are pointing back at you, and one is pointing to God.
Right.
So,
And it's okay. It's like the most important thing is to be the change you want to see. You have to be transparent with yourself. You can't be like, I don't really struggle with that. Like we all have areas that we want to work on, but if you're gonna like fool yourself and lie to yourself and make it seem like you don't have stuff to work on, you're not going to be able to make any changes. So you have to be fully transparent. Like, yeah, I do need to work on my time management.
Yeah.
I've been slacking off. I've been eating whatever. Like, everybody want to lose weight, but you like, well, I really don't eat that much. But really, you probably do. Before if you really evaluate, what you be taking in. So you really have to be fully like transparent and honest with yourself and with God. Like, hey, I really need help in these areas.
yeah, have that discipline.
Yes.
And that discipline, it takes time. It takes writing things down. It takes tracking things. Like, I don't know if might need to have a calendar that's on the fridge. You might need to have a calendar that's on your wall upstairs where you sleep or wherever you may lay your head. It's important to begin to take that inventory so that you can see what's going on and see where the changes need to be made and be that first person to begin to make the changes.
Right.
Don't expect other people to change before you yourself want to change. You can't look at everything and look maybe through the lenses of this world and be like, man, I want the president to be so much different. But you're not doing nothing in your local backyard. You're not voting when it's time to participate in the local elections. You got to do your part if you want to see those changes. So those changes begin with you just seeing where you can do what you can do. So, and that starts with on a a micro level.
Right. And once you figure out what you need to work on, just try your best to be consistent with it. Like once you have a routine, like I have a routine for us, like with my eating. Like I have to meal prep. Like, but not everybody can meal prep or is good with meal prepping. I have to. If I don't, then I will find myself eating just about, let me go grab something. It's easy to go buy something. But if I have my meals already made, it just makes things. And I even do it for my kids now. I meal prep for them throughout the week. Because if I don't, then they want to go out to eat. So being consistent, right, being consistent keeps you from deviating from like your path. Like just keep your routine like the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like God gave me this mantra like the other day or last week, just going into 2024, right? Consistency over perfection. Things ain't always gonna be perfect. You're not gonna always have the best video. You're not gonna always have the best equipment. You're not gonna always have the best set of circumstances. But you can always be consistent. That
Yeah.
consistency is something that you can control.
Yeah.
You know, that waking up in the morning and praying, that, you know, if you said you're going to read a couple books this year, that actually taking that time out to turn the TV off and read those books, that's on you. Those, you know, if you're saying you're going to work out, you're going to lose 50 pounds, well, that starts with, you know, over 12 months, that might be 2 to 3 pounds each month. So, you know, whatever that looks like, it's on you to be consistent. And it might not always be perfect. It might not, like, you might not always have perfection in certain areas. But if you be consistent, that one step in front of the other will lead to a long ways traveled.
Right. Yeah.
So that's very important. I need y'all to get that. And this is, you know, this is the kind of the centerpiece of us talking about the grass is greener where you water it. And I feel like, you know, just looking more into that topic, it's important, like, to look at it from a relationship standpoint. Right. You know, the divorce rate in this country is usually around 50%, maybe even higher. So many times people think, you know, I'm going to get a better relationship and this person is going to treat me better and, you know, I'm going to get everything I want. But the reality is, if you get divorced once, the likelihood of you divorcing again just keeps growing higher and higher because you're learning things you don't like and you're not maybe addressing, maybe I need to look at me.
Right.
So looking at yourself and seeing, like, how can I treat this person better? How can I be a better helpmeet? How can I, you know, take this burden off of them? How can I aid them in whatever their goals is? You have collective goals, you have separate goals, you have community goals, all these things that you have going on. But y'all, you need to see each other as a team and come together and help make each other's lives better.
Right. All right. Well, that's all we have for today.
Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, you know, we happy to have y'all. Hope y'all tune back in. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them
Topics.
in topics. Anything y'all want to hear, drop them in the chat box. Drop them as a comment. Leave a like, repost, reshare. We're hoping to be consistent over being perfected this year. So
Right. Yeah.
hoping to keep giving y'all content and pray y'all have a blessed year.